At the moment, Chelsea's credit cards with Barclays are frozen. They are temporarily suspended. The people who work at Chelsea who have corporate credit cards with Barclays are not able to use them at the moment. Now, at 6 o'clock, the club told us that their Barclays bank account was also frozen. But now, this evening, they are saying that the Barclays bank account is still operational this evening. But the Press Association have just reported that Chelsea have had several accounts temporarily frozen while banks assess their operating licence. And when we speak about their operating licence, we're talking about the operating licence that they've been given by the government. Because technically, Chelsea should not be in business at the moment because their owner is sanctioned in the United Kingdom. He's not allowed to do any business in the United Kingdom. But the government, because they say Chelsea are a culturally significant asset, have given them a special licence, which is going to let them carry on their football-related activity. But there are lots of restrictions in this licence that they've been given, and Chelsea believe that the restrictions are too tight. And they've been in talks today and also last night with the government about changing some of these restrictions. Because at the moment, Chelsea are not allowed to sell tickets and they're not allowed to sell any merchandise. And Chelsea believe that if these restrictions stay in place, then there is a very real danger that they will not be able to complete the season. For instance, just to give you some examples, at the moment the government are saying to stage a home game at Stamford Bridge, you are only allowed to spend £500,000 on security, stewarding and also catering. And I think Chelsea spend twice as much as that on the average home game. So they're saying to the government, you have to help us out. These restrictions that you've put in place are just unworkable. And I think what the government is saying to them back is, we will try and help you. Because make no mistake, the government want Chelsea to continue. The government don't want to put Chelsea out of business. They've made it very, very clear. They don't want to punish Chelsea. They don't want to punish Chelsea supporters. They want to punish Roman Abramovich.
A sale of Chelsea might solve a lot of these issues, but is Abramovich even allowed to sell? And if he does, who gets the money?
Technically, he's not allowed to sell Chelsea at the moment if you go strictly by the terms of the sanctions that have been placed on him by the UK government. But there is a way around this, and it is a way around this that the UK government are very keen for Chelsea and Roman Abramovich to use. Because as far as the UK government are concerned, they want Chelsea to be sold as quickly as possible. Because at the moment, they're effectively in control of the club, and that is not a position that they want to be in. They feel that the government should not be involved in the day-to-day running of a football club. Now, the good news as far as Chelsea supporters are concerned, if there's any good news this evening, is that there are a lot of people interested in buying Chelsea. All the people who were interested in buying Chelsea a couple of days ago, there are at least 10 of them. They are still interested in buying Chelsea. A lot of US sports investors, because an asset like Chelsea does not become available very often, if ever. They're the European and World Club champions. They're one of the biggest clubs in the world. The other piece of good news, I suppose, is that a lot of these investors and interested buyers are thinking that perhaps they will now be able to get Chelsea cheaper than what Roman Abramovich wanted initially. Initially, he was asking for £3 billion, but it is now a buyer's market because the feeling is that Roman Abramovich has to sell Chelsea. Also, take into account the fact that I think a few days ago, some people were uneasy of trying to buy Chelsea and getting involved in a deal involving a Russian oligarch. But now the United Kingdom government are involved. It's easier to do a deal because if you're a businessman, you might have some doubts about getting involved in a deal with a Russian oligarch. But now that the UK government are overseeing the whole process, you'll be thinking, fine, I have no problem with that. That's not going to affect my reputation. Also, bear in mind that the UK government are saying not 1 pence of the sale of Chelsea, if we're to allow it, can go to Roman Abramovich. So the UK government will allow Chelsea to be sold as long as none of the proceeds go to Roman Abramovich. So where would the money go then? I think people in the government would like it perhaps to go towards the Ukrainian victims of Russia's invasion. So, for instance, it could go to the Disasters Emergency Committee, or it could go to the Red Cross. And again, I think people who are interested in buying Chelsea will be thinking that is good news as well, because not only will we be buying Chelsea, one of the biggest clubs in the world, but also the money that we're paying will be going to a very, very good cause.
OK, Kaveh, thank you very much for the update.